I think it was Samuel Clemens who said, only with science can you get such a wholesale return of conjecture with such a trifling investment of fact. But of course, he wrote before historical criticism of the Bible took off, and now we have those guys, and they have a wholesale return of conjecture on a trifling investment of fact that really cannot be excelled. An example of this would be Dan McClellan speaking for the critical scholars, not just him, on the 29th Psalm. I'm going to play you a clip where he makes a claim about the 29th Psalm, and he gives his evidence for that claim. And then we're going to deconstruct the deconstructor, as it were.
Northwest Semitic pantheon that put the storm deity on the second tier of the pantheon among the B'nai Elohim, and Adonai is repeatedly in the Hebrew Bible represented as a storm deity. In fact, there are passages where Adonai is taking over poetry originally dedicated to Baal. For instance, in Psalm 29, we have this sevenfold praise of the voice of Adonai. But all the places it mentions, like Lebanon and Sirion and Kadesh, are places further north, the territory of the Northwest Semitic storm deity Baal, not of Adonai. And so this was likely poetry originally praising Baal that was then appropriated by Israelite scholars wanting to praise Adonai based on the same terms. Similarly, Isaiah 27.
So just on the basis of, these places named are not within Israel, they're to the north. Therefore, the Israelites cribbed this and was really dedicated originally to some other god who lived up in the northern parts, is what Dan McClellan is claiming, just based on the places. But he hasn't even got that right, because Kadesh is not in the north. Kadesh, especially the Kadesh which has the desert by it, which is the context of the 29th Psalm, is the southern border of Israel. It's basically Israel's, the property right to the south of the border of Israel, the old Israel. And that's on the southern side. And then Mount Hermon is one thing they mention, and that is basically even today, it's in the Golan Heights. The nation of Israel has one slope of the mountain, and there's a sort of a UN neutral zone on the other, and then you've got Syria on the other side. So it's basically the northern border of Israel. And then the Cedars of Lebanon. Lebanon's a small country. The Cedars are right across the border there too. So why isn't the Psalm saying that the Lord's name should be ascribed glory from one end of Israel to the other, from the northern boundaries to the southern boundaries? I mean, that's the obvious reading. You don't need to come up with a wholesale return of conjecture about, it was originally dedicated to another god, and they sort of cribbed it and put the Lord's name in there, but it really wasn't about him. That's just, it's silly. It just shows the lengths they go to try to do the opposite of what the Psalm says you should do. The Psalm says you should ascribe to the Lord glory and honor. And what they're trying to do, they sit around all day thinking up conjecture which attempts to detract from that. And so, I think they've got it wrong on so many levels, including the deepest level.